With more reaction to all of tonight's breaking news, author of the New York Times bestseller, Trump's America, The Truth About Our Nation's Great Comeback, former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich. You know, the list is pretty amazing. It really is awesome. Here's a question. Are we better off as a country than we were just 2 short years ago? With 4 million new jobs, 8 million fewer Americans in poverty on food stamps. Let's see, a path to energy independence, $3.5 billion on a border wall, North Korea, Iran. I don't know. I think on security, economic issues, records in 14 states, record low unemployment, African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, women in the workforce. I think we're better off. But what do you think?
Well, I think we're better off, but I don't think that's what this election's about. This election is a life and death struggle with a left-wing movement which wants to radicalize America. You know, you're happy that there are more people at work. That took people off of food stamps. It meant they were no longer dependent on government. So if you're a left-wing Democrat, that's actually bad, not good. I know it's hard to believe, but I have a prediction for you. Sometimes politicians and their consultants and everybody does all this planning, and then history just picks things up and changes everything. I think 2 words are going to define the 2018 election in the next 3 weeks. One is Kavanaugh, and the other is caravan. And the combination of anger over how the left smeared, engaged in character assassination, lied, used bullying tactics with Judge Kavanaugh is going to be one part of this. And the degree to which the left is eager to have 3,000 people in a caravan cross the American border, break American law, recognizing that if that happens, the next caravan will be even bigger, and the caravan after that will be even bigger. And I think the American people are going to reject both the way they treated Kavanaugh and the way they are dealing with the border. And I think those will end up being the reasons the Republicans keep the House and dramatically increase the number of senators they have.
Mr. Speaker, elections are usually about peace and prosperity. And I'm looking at the economy, by every measure, we're doing better. This is what I hear from the Democrats. Impeachment, but don't say it. Open borders, but don't say it. Want their crumbs back. They want Obamacare, and they want endless investigations into Trump. I don't hear one thing that they're running on that would benefit the American people. Obamacare, a disaster.
Well, I mean, if you look at their proposals for government-run health care, which would be impossible to pay for, would bankrupt the system, crush the entire health care delivery system, and destroy Medicare. If you look at all those things, you have to wonder, I mean, what are these people thinking? And yet, Democrat after Democrat has signed up for a program which I think is absolutely would collapse Medicare and absolutely would eliminate all of the employer-based insurance systems, which is what Bernie Sanders says he wants to do. He wants to force you and me and everyone else into a single government system that he gets to define.
Let me ask you this. I look at, and I'm very hopeful. I think there's a really good shot. Rick Scott, a great governor. I think he will win the Senate. I really feel confident in the people of Florida. I really believe that Josh Hawley will win, who we just had on from Missouri, as Claire McCaskill's been exposed, and the same with Marsha Blackburn after Bredesen has been exposed. And I'm hoping Dean Heller, latest polls have him up. He's always in a tough race in Nevada. And I think John Tester is in trouble in Montana. Heidi Heitkamp is now in double digits, as she should be in North Dakota. Joe Donnelly in Indiana. I think we can win every one of those races. The only thing that worries me tonight, I don't know about the House. We don't have a big margin there.
Well, let me add to your happiness. I think we have a real shot in Minnesota. I think we have a real shot in New Jersey. So the Senate could become, if you remember, in 1980 when I was working with the Reagan team, we ended up picking up 12 Senate seats. One controlled the Senate. Nobody expected it. And we picked up 12 Senate seats in one night. So this could become a big blowout. The House is a little bit of trouble, but I think what Kevin McCarthy's done in introducing a bill to gain control of the southern border, and I would urge Kevin to challenge Nancy Pelosi to a national debate. Let her defend the total failure to control the American border, to protect American sovereignty, to draw a line in the sand and say no more, to welcome caravans and all sorts of deliberate effort to undermine the American system. And let Kevin explain the bill he's got that he wants to bring up in December that controls the southern border. I think if the choice is that clear, if over here you've got sanctuary cities, MS-13, fentanyl, opioid deaths, all the different things the Democrats seem to accept, and over here you have a party dedicated to protecting you, protecting your family, protecting your neighborhood, I think we'll do just fine election night.
You vote for any Democrat in the House, you are voting for Pelosi. You vote for any Democratic senator,
That's right.
You're voting for Schumer. It's that simple. Mr. Speaker, very great analysis tonight, right on the money. Thanks for being with us.